The anatomy of disrespect and the power of the psychological reset. Disrespect in a relationship is never a one-time event. It is a slow acting poison that seeps into the foundation of your home until everything you've built begins to crumble. Many men wake up one day and realize they are no longer the leaders of their own lives. They find themselves trapped in an exhausting cycle of verbal abuse, constant defiance, and a nagging sense of insecurity. This usually happens because somewhere along the line, you traded your emotional sovereignty for a quiet life. You reacted to the I do or the early stages of commitment by becoming too agreeable, handing over the keys to your boundaries, and allowing small slights to pass without correction. Over time, those small slights turned into a habit of blatant disregard. When a partner loses her sense of boundaries, your natural instinct might be to raise your voice, argue your point, or use physical intimidation to regain control. However, those are the tools of a man who has already lost. Shouting only proves that she has successfully disrupted your emotional peace, and force is a desperate admission that you have no psychological leverage. To truly command the respect you deserve, you must stop reacting with your emotions and start responding with strategy. You don't need to be loud to be heard, you need to be calculated. True authority doesn't come from a display of anger, but from a calm, unwavering shift in the way you interact with the world around you. Reclaiming your respect is about performing a tactical reset on the entire dynamic of the relationship. It is an intentional move to reclaim your frame and demonstrate that your presence, your resources, and your affection are not guaranteed, they are earned. If the current environment is toxic, it's because the old rules of the relationship allowed it to be. By implementing a psychological shift, you are essentially rewriting the contract of how you will be treated moving forward. You are moving from a position of seeking approval to a position of setting standards. The following 5 tactical resets are designed to strip away the viral disease of disrespect and replace it with a firm, healthy boundary that she cannot ignore. This is not about being cruel. It is about being a man of high value who refuses to settle for anything less than absolute honor. 1. Removing the pedestal, reclaiming the value of your validation. The most common trap men fall into is the validation loop, where they continue to shower a woman with praise, compliments, and affection, even when she is being cold, indifferent, or outright disrespectful. When you do this, you are effectively rewarding her bad behavior. You are telling her that no matter how she treats you, she will always have a front row seat to your admiration. This kills your value instantly. To reclaim your respect, you must immediately remove her from that pedestal. You have to stop being her biggest fan and start being a man who judges quality based on character and reciprocity. Your words of affirmation are high value currency, and you must spend them on someone who isn't investing back into the relationship. When you stop the praises, you create a psychological shift that she will feel immediately. Imagine she spends an hour getting ready, puts on a stunning dress, and walks into the room expecting that predictable, "You look amazing" from you. Instead of the usual compliment, she meets only your calm, neutral silence. She will go back to the mirror and start questioning herself. She will wonder why the reaction she's used to is no longer forthcoming. This silence forces her to realize that your approval is not a permanent fixture of her life. It is a privilege that can be withdrawn at any moment. By holding back your validation, you teach her that her beauty or her presence alone isn't enough to earn your praise. She has to bring a respectful and cooperative attitude to the table if she wants to feel your warmth. 2. The power of strategic silence, mastering the vacuum. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It is one of the most lethal psychological tools a man can use to regain control of a drifting relationship. Most men make the mistake of trying to argue their way back into respect. They yell, they explain, and they plead their case, not realizing that every word they speak is an investment of energy. When you argue with a woman who is disrespecting you, you are showing her that she still has the power to disturb your peace. You are giving her the reaction she wants. Strategic silence flips this dynamic on its head. By choosing not to engage, you stop investing in the conflict and start creating a massive emotional vacuum that she will eventually feel a desperate need to fill. When you implement strategic silence, you become an enigma. You stop responding to her baiting texts, you stop answering unnecessary calls, and you become emotionally unavailable even when you are in the same room. You aren't being petty or childish, you are being disciplined. You are showing her that your attention is a direct reflection of her conduct. If she treats you like you don't matter, you must return that energy by acting as if she doesn't exist in your mental space. This lack of feedback drives a woman crazy because it removes her ability to predict or control you. When she realizes she can no longer get a rise out of you or command your focus, the fear of losing you entirely begins to set in. You stay silent and stay in your frame until she realizes that the only way back into your world is through a complete change in her behavior and a genuine effort to earn your awareness again. 3. Rejecting the table. Breaking the bond of domestic comfort food is much more than just nutrition. It is a universal symbol of care, unity, and domestic harmony. In almost every culture, the act of a man sitting down to eat a meal prepared by his partner represents a seal of peace and acceptance within the home. When you eat her food, you are signaling that all is well between you. Therefore, when you are being met with disrespect, one of the most powerful nonverbal ways to signal that the peace is officially broken is to stop eating at her table. By refusing to touch the meal she has prepared, you are sending a shockwave through the domestic dynamic. You are communicating, without saying a single word, that her efforts no longer satisfy you because the spirit in which they are given is tainted by her attitude. This creates an immediate psychological discomfort for her, as the primary way she takes care of the home is suddenly being rejected. To make this reset truly effective, you must pair this rejection with a shift in your schedule. Stop coming home early to wait for dinner. When you stay out late and find your own fulfillment, whether that's working on your business, hitting the gym, or eating elsewhere, you are demonstrating that the home she has created is no longer a place of comfort or refuge for you. You are showing her that you are not tethered to her for your basic needs. When a man stops showing up for the domestic rituals, a woman begins to realize that the walls of the house don't make a home, his presence does. This forced distance makes her sit in an empty house and reflect on exactly what she said or did to push her man away. It forces her to confront the reality that if she continues to provide a toxic environment, she will eventually find herself living in it alone. 4. Halting the non-essential flow, cutting the financial lifeblood of disrespect. There is a fundamental line that every man must draw between being a responsible provider and being a financial doormat. You must always honor your core responsibilities, keeping the roof over the family's head, ensuring the children are fed, and maintaining the household essentials. That is what a man of integrity does. However, there is a massive category of non-essentials that many men continue to fund even while they are being treated like garbage. This includes the monthly allowances, the random shopping trips, the hair and nail appointments, and the expensive gifts. If you are funding a woman's luxury lifestyle while she is actively disrespecting you, you are essentially paying for your own mistreatment. You are subsidizing her bad behavior, and as long as the money keeps flowing, she has absolutely no incentive to change her attitude. The moment respect vanishes, the ATM must stop dispensing. This isn't about being cheap or broke. It's about being a man of standards who understands that resources are a reward for a healthy partnership. When the flow of extra cash and lifestyle perks dries up, the reality of her situation will hit her like a ton of bricks. Most people only truly appreciate the value of a resource once the supply is cut off. When she goes to make that purchase or book that appointment and realizes the bank of respect is closed, she is forced to reevaluate her conduct. She will quickly realize that the lifestyle she enjoys is directly tied to the man she is currently antagonizing. By halting the non essential flow, you force her to choose. She can either keep her pride and her disrespectful attitude, or she can retrace her steps, apologize, and earn back the privileges that come with being in your good graces. 5. Withdrawing physical intimacy, reclaiming your sexual sovereignty. In the complex dance of relationship dynamics, physical intimacy is often used as an unspoken currency. For many women, providing or withholding access to intimacy is their primary source of leverage and power. They assume that because you are a man, you are a slave to your biological urges, that you are always hungry and can be easily manipulated or calmed down just by the promise of affection. When you allow this to be the case, you are essentially giving her a remote control to your emotions. To truly reclaim your frame and complete your psychological reset, you must take that remote control back. You do this by becoming the one who withdraws. By stepping back and removing the physical connection from the table, you flip the script entirely. You show her that you are not a dog waiting for a treat. You are a man of discipline who values respect more than a temporary release. When you start telling her, I'm not in the mood, I'm tired, or I have other things on my mind for days or even weeks, you are sending a powerful message that shakes her confidence. It signals that your desire is directly linked to her behavior. Most men make the mistake of trying to fix a disrespectful relationship by being more affectionate, hoping to love her back into a good mood. This never works. It only makes you look desperate. Instead, when you withdraw your physical presence, you become a high value enigma. If you are a man who leads, provides, and carries himself with strength, your intimacy is a massive reward. When that reward is suddenly gone, she is forced to sit with her own thoughts. She will begin to crave the very connection she used to take for granted. She will start to wonder if she is losing her touch, or worse, if she is losing you. This final stage of the reset is about showing her and herself that you can live perfectly well without her sugar. It proves that you are in total control of your body and your mind. When a woman realizes that she cannot use intimacy to distract you from her lack of respect, she loses her final piece of leverage. This creates a psychological vacuum where she must eventually come to you. She will start to ask what's wrong. She will start to try harder to please you, and she will eventually reach a point where she is begging for the very attention she was previously disregarding. You must remain firm and indifferent during this period. Do not give in at the first sign of a smile. Wait until there is a genuine, sustained shift in her honor and her attitude. By holding the line, you teach her a permanent lesson that access to your body is a sacred privilege reserved only for a woman who treats your position with the honor and respect it demands.